Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Here in Indiana, it's a little bit cooler today, so I'm not ready for summer to end, but I made notes. If you see me looking down a lot, that's why I don't want to forget anything. Our talk today is going to be about suicide, and I attempted suicide and had an overdose in 2017. But before we get into all that, I wanted to share my why. And that's something that has really driven me and made me stop and think a lot about the way I've done things, in the past 52 years of my life. And trying to heal and move forward. But then it's woke up this stir in me that I want to help other people. I want everyone to realize that they're not alone. No one is perfect, that we all make mistakes and life is hard. So stop beating yourself up. But that's my why. It's not to brag, it's not to share horrible moments in life for any reason other than to help other people, to help me heal, and to let people know they're not alone. I don't know where this journey will take me, but I do want to help others. I hope to be successful enough to really put that in play financially too, and helping others. So my why is like what I just said. I just want to reiterate here. We're all human. We all make mistakes. And if there is one person out there that can tell you that they've never made a mistake, okay. I don't know what it's like to be in the presence of someone perfect, because the only person I know that was Jesus. And so whether you're a believer or not, there is no human being on earth that never makes a mistake. So just remember that. So I'm going to go through my notes, and then I'm going to just start in with my story and how I got to where I was with my overdose and suicide attempt. So I put on here hard times. We're not, even people that look like they have it all put together don't. They have an insecurity, they have something they don't like about themselves, or they struggle with, depression or this or that. I heard on the Bunny XO podcast today, a fan wrote in and asked Haley and Mimi how they had such confidence, and everything. And they both shared that they struggled with that when they first met Bunny. And it was, I don't know their exact words, but refreshing to see someone that they looked at as being this beautiful, put together person had her own struggles too. And she's talked about that. She struggled with depression. She's suicidal ideation, anxiety, and things like that. So the other thing is, if something ends, it was supposed to. So a job, and I'm going to talk about all these things too, and my why I tried to commit suicide. If something ends, it's supposed to. A job, you weren't meant to be there. You probably wouldn't have left had you not got fired or laid off. We may not always see the why. A relationship, if you lose a house, you lose a car, there's a reason. And then you got to forgive yourself for mistakes, because like I said, we all make mistakes every single day. Now that doesn't mean go and make mistakes and just be a shitty person and then go, oh, I'm sorry. No, but one thing that therapy helped me in last week, my therapist Elle, she, shared that, again, I'm not going to get words exact, but you know, I've made mistakes in the past. That's fine, but I need to forgive myself and move on because I'm not stuck in that mistake. And then everything in life prepares us for the things that we haven't gotten to yet. So whether it's, a huge success, a positive thing, or a negative thing, or what you consider a failure, it's preparing us for the next step. I always heard when one door closes, another opens. And that is so true. But sometimes when that door is closed and we're standing in the hallway waiting for that next door to open, we feel like the bottom of the floor in the hallway just fell out and we're falling to hell. But just remember, stay the course. Think about what big life event tore you down and how you had to rebuild yourself. I can think of 4 things. I listed 3. My fallout with my grandmother, and that also led into us losing a house that we lived in that she owned. When we lost our house on Charlotte Circle, and then when our landlord sold the house on Ohio Street because his wife had died. So I completely understand. He had been taken way back and had things and events happen that put him in a position that he could no longer be a landlord. And I don't resent him for that. It got us out of Martinsville, which I think has been really, truly helpful to me in healing. Because I was told that my grandma had people following me. I knew she did. Some of them were very obvious. And now I don't feel like I'm being followed and watched all the time. What almost destroys us can make us, wait a minute, let's see, how did I say? What almost destroyed us that made it through, that drives our purpose. So what almost destroyed you that gave you drive? Maybe you're not there yet. Maybe you're in that destroyed moment and you feel just completely overwhelmed. Sorry, it's getting a little hot, even though it's a cooler day. I had to turn the air on. But those situations that I just mentioned, I literally, with the fallout of my grandma and my suicide attempt, I literally hit rock bottom. And I felt like I had no reason to live and no purpose to live. This is the part that I am already starting to see some, but I can't wait to see the whole perspective for me because I'm not completely healed. But once healed, we're best equipped to help the person I used to be. That is so important to me. There's somebody out there hurting just like I did. And maybe I can get through to them, or maybe I can help them. And then this kind of has already been discussed, but it's just reworded. And I just think that we can never hear these things too much because we get caught in our own mind and our own negativity. The setbacks in life are often set up for our purpose in life. So I'm finding my purpose in helping others. You guys have heard me say before, I'm following other people's light that's in the path further ahead than I am. And I'm going to be the light for people that are further back than me to get them up. So without the heartache and the pain, I would not be the person I am today. And I would not be on this journey to help other people. I would just be in my, I don't know. Another conversation we had, I guess the Menendez brothers are getting tomorrow and the next day going to see about resentencing. And I told my husband, I said, they went through some real shit, some real horrible, horrible shit as young little boys. And all the shit and trauma I went through, I would not trade them. Not one moment. So remember, on your worst of days, there are others out there that even have it worse. Their heart is harder. But it's not about that either. I'm not trying to get at that. I'm just trying to put some perspective there. Suicidal thoughts can be normal. We get scared and don't tell anyone. And that's when we all have someone that we know, or most of us do, that it's either a loved one or someone that we know has a loved one that's committed suicide. And it's the most horrific thing, because the people left here constantly question, what could I have done to prevent this? Why didn't I see the signs? Why didn't I know they were hurting? And all I could answer from that is, the person who's thinking about suicide, we don't want you to know, because we know you'll try to stop us. And at that moment, our brain is telling us that we're worthless, we're a piece of shit, we weren't going to amount to nothing, we're a failure, we're horrible, we're whatever. And we don't want you telling us different. So if you've lost someone to suicide, they were broken and they were hurting. And they were not able to receive the love, the direction, the compassion that you were going to give them. And I speak that as a truth in my suicide too. You know, I survived that, and I did see that my husband and my children loved me. There are some people that didn't give a shit. They didn't. My husband called my uncle and he said, well, she'll be okay. She'll be fine. I mean, she's alive. So, but if you're thinking that suicide is an option, you've got to tell someone. You've got to share that. Sharing it will lessen the pain. And it makes you aware, and it might give you resources that you didn't even know, or help that you didn't know. But I do strongly suggest that you share with somebody that is going to be there for you, not someone like my uncle. If we hold them in, it's like shaking a Coke can and then opening our feelings explode. Is that Coke can? I hear so many people too say, well, I'm just so depressed that I just couldn't get motivated and I can't get up today. And trust me, been there, done that. Didn't shower for days. But, you know, a lot of things I'm hearing on these these coaching podcasts and through therapy and all, get up, make your bed. If you've lost your job, no, you don't need to get up at 5 a.m., but don't sleep till 5 p.m. Get up, make your bed, get up at 8 or 9 o'clock. You're going to have to probably start getting up way earlier anyway. So sleep in a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. But get up, make your bed, go for a walk. You know, have a list of jobs that you're going to apply for and do that. Take your shower, brush your teeth. Those may be the hardest task you've ever done. But that's the only way you're going to get out of that depression. And you deserve to feel like $1 million. You don't deserve to feel like a failure and like shit and worthless. We all deserve to feel like $1 million. I like this analogy too. When you have suicidal thoughts, it's like being trapped in a paper bag. Once you tell someone, that paper bag shreds, then you see you're normal. So when you're in that paper bag, when you're in your depression, that's all you can see is that paper bag, that depression. I didn't this, I didn't that, I should have this, I should have that, I lost this, I lost that, this ended. That's all we see is that paper bag, and it just keeps going in a vicious circle. And then we hold it in our head. We don't tell anyone. And then some people do commit suicide. And they don't survive like I did. And then their family is in pain. They're hurting. They're questioning their self. They're questioning their self-worth. But the second you start talking and telling someone and sharing, that paper bag just shreds. It goes away. Now, depression isn't just going to go away, boom. You know, you might need medication. You're going to maybe need some therapy, things like that. But it will help. You can't feel like $1,000,000 carrying around all this hate, self-doubt, and all your old baggage. So I just said, you deserve to feel like $1,000,000, and we all do. You, me, everybody. But if we're going around going, well, you know what, Michelle is bad with money, and Michelle overspends, and Michelle used to overeat, Michelle this, Michelle that, Michelle, yeah, that's how you're going to feel. That doesn't sound like $1,000,000 to me. So take you back to 2017. I had a really good job, but my depression kicked in. Then I started missing work. Then we couldn't pay our bills. And then one thing and another. I literally got to the point that I could not get out of bed. By this point, I had been off a couple of months on medical leave for my depression, but I really hadn't disclosed that with work. And I knew that it was getting to the point that I either needed to go back or I was probably going to lose my job. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to face my coworkers, my boss. I was disappointed in myself for possibly losing this job. I carried the family health insurance. Then because bills got out of hand, my husband was working as much as he possibly could. So I was lonely. And because of my loneliness, I turned to my ex, which we had already been having this on off again, texting, chit-chatting relationship. He was not the person I needed to go to for support. So that's why I said that's so important, is to go to someone that is going to be there for you, going to lift you up, help you, maybe even say some harsh things to you. But you know, all he did was reaffirm all those negative things I was saying to myself, that I am worthless, that I'm not lovable, that I'm not needed. Then I got to the point that I was reading my Bible, begging, pleading God. And I didn't get that answer that I wanted, or not fast enough. So then I was like, God's even gave up on me. Well, when God gives up on me, what's there left to try or do? What's my reason? I'm not needed. My family would be better off. I'm weighing them down. I'm hurting them. So I just need to end it. Then I reached out to a few people, other people, and got doors slammed in my face. Again, reaching out to the right people are important. Did I ever share this with my husband? No, because he would have probably tried to stop me, right? So I'm doing him a favor, is what I thought. I was on Ambien, which I found out later at the mental hospital that you should really never be on Ambien more than 2 years. I had been on it for about 10, I think. My insurance at the time would refill for 3 months at a time. So I had 3 months worth of Ambien. And the pain got so bad. I felt like the people that could help me, I'd exhausted their help financially, or they'd turn their backs on us, probably because they'd been exhausted. Then I knew we were about to lose the house. This house was a dream come true after I blew up with my grandma. It was beautiful. It was our forever home, and not where I currently live, and that's okay. But at the moment, it wasn't. It was my everything. It was my identity, I thought. We were behind on car payments. Again, remember, I'd been praying and reading my Bible, and God wasn't answering me, so I thought he'd give up on me. And I remember just wanting to, I did want to end my life, but I wanted to numb the pain more than anything. So every time I would wake up, I would take a handful of Ambien. I lost 3 to 5 days. I'm not really sure how many in this process. So I would wake up, I'd go to the bathroom, I'd get me a drink, I would take another handful of Ambien, go back to sleep, and just, that was constant repeat. I didn't shower, I didn't brush my teeth, I didn't make my bed, I didn't do any of those things that I told you that would help get you out of this paper bag. I just buried myself in that paper bag, and I just kept taking the pills, and kept taking the pills, and kept taking the pills. And I probably didn't even have a month left by the time I was found. So our oldest he didn't live at home. Our youngest was in high school and was at home. And this was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving in 2027. My middle child was home and said that he just kept getting this weird nudge that he needed to come check on me. So remember I said God had give up on me? No, he hadn't. So he kept, no, mom's just asleep. You know, I've done this for years. I would get depressed and go to bed for days, weeks on end, and then resurface all rejuvenized. So he thought that was just my norm, and that's what was going to happen. But something just kept nagging at him to go check on his mom. So he came in there, and I was unresponsive. He could not get me woke up. He wasn't even sure if I was breathing. He called a friend of his mom's, who I happen to be very good friends with, Natalie, and asked her what to do. And she said, "Oh my God, Jordan, you've got to call 911. You have got to hang up immediately, call 911. So Jordan hangs up, dials 911. I wake up to a couple of police officers that I knew well because we lived in a small town, and in the EMT that I knew very well, trying to help me get out of bed. I am well over 300 pounds at that point. I'm in a cami and underwear. My husband was called to come home from work. I don't remember anything other than that because I passed back out. But apparently I was put on a stretcher, taken by ambulance to our local hospital. Because I'm a bariatric patient, they could not pump my stomach. So I had this dark charcoal stuff I was drinking. I may have been put on an IV. I honestly don't remember. I wake up in the hospital and I screamed to my middle child that I hated him and that I wish he hadn't called 911. And that I wish he'd have let me die. There's my husband, my 3 kids, and that's how I'm talking to them. Then my friend Natalie and my other good friend Cheryl come into the hospital to see me. And I am so embarrassed at that point that I cannot even bring my head out of the pillow. And all I can do is cry. A part of me was sad because I didn't die. And that pain was back. I knew, again, I was going to lose my job. Now I've got this emergency and ambulance bill I'm going to have to pay. Going to lose my house. We're going to lose our cars. My husband's come home from work early because my stupid ass. And the doctor comes in and tells me that because police are involved, it is required that you do a 72-hour hold in a mental facility. The hospital I was at did not have the capability to do that. And I was to go to Bloomington Hospital 30 minutes away. He did agree to release me from the ER and for me to self-report. So our oldest and my husband was with me, and I begged him not to make me go. I called my father-in-law, who has been like a father to me, and I was crying and begged him to not make them make me go. When that didn't work, I called an attorney friend of ours and asked him, what's going to happen to me if I don't go? He goes, they can come and arrest you. Because the police were involved, you need to go. And he didn't know all the extent of everything, but he knew I was hurting. You know, people don't commit suicide because they're happy. Thankfully, I listened to him. I didn't want to be arrested. And deep down, he knew I needed some professional help too to get through this. So we stop and get food. I think I went home and changed clothes. We get to the hospital. Now, this is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I have never been away from my children on Thanksgiving. And I'm facing a 72-hour hold. We have a family tradition of going Black Friday shopping. And now I was going to miss out on that. But let's back up. I'm about to lose my job. I'm about to lose my home. I'm about to lose my cars. And I'm worried about Black Friday shopping. So I get to the hospital and I'm admitted. And I'd say the first 24 hours, I slept a lot because I still had the Ambien in me. But when I wasn't sleeping, all I did was cry. I woke up the next morning to the most horrible breakfast. I can only imagine anything worse would be prison food. And I kind of thought, I lived to eat this shit. Still wishing that I had been successful. Still wishing for that pain to numb. Then I went into panic mode. It's November. Our electricity was about to be shut off. And Scott and the kids are at home. And it's cold. I don't have my cell phone. I don't know anybody's phone numbers. Not anybody that would help. Longtime family, but they'd already turned their backs on me. Remember, I lived. I made it through. So there was nothing wrong. Probably just doing it for attention. somehow, I don't know, I think the hospital had my husband's phone number or something, and I got a hold of him. He called his dad. They got that situated. Another 24 hours goes by, and I'm sitting in the common room. There's a homeless guy in there going through DTs the night before. He was really bad. He'd kind of come to a little bit, want to know what my story was. He goes, "Oh, you're a pill addict." I'm like, "No, I'm not." Well, I kind of was, because I was using Ambien to sleep at night, but I was using Ambien to suppress my depression and numb the pain of life. That's an addict. But he was so offensive. Who the hell does he think he is? He knew more than I did. So then we started sitting in group, had to start sharing. I just sat and cried. Day 2. Sat and cried. That evening, my husband and the 2 youngest were able to visit. I was so nervous because one of the things I'd learned is that this can really affect your relationship with your family, because they're hurting now and they're having to process this and go through this, and they're scared. So they come to visit me, and at this point, the Ambien had started working out of my body. Now, remember, I'd taken almost 3 full months of Ambien in a 3 to 4 day period, and I'd been taking it for 10 years, every single night, and quite often taking more than I was supposed to. When they come to see me, I literally had the DTs. And I didn't know that's what it was. I was afraid to say anything because I just wanted out of there. I didn't want healed. I wanted out of there. So I wasn't telling the hospital that I'm sitting here going like this, I'm trying to hide it. Well, you don't hide that. My husband later told me that he was very scared when he saw me because of how shaky I was. And I remember thinking to myself at one point, this is just fucking great. So I tried to kill myself. I didn't succeed at that either, because remember, I'm a failure. And now I fucked my body up, and I'm going to go around with this shake all the time. So the next day we get up and I finally meet with the psychologist, and go to another group therapy. I'm a little bit more clear-headed. Got a little bit better game plan in my head. Looking at possibly going home soon. So that made me feel better. And then I started hearing other people's stories, and they were where I was at when I came in. And I realized that that isn't where I wanted to be. I came home. I did lose my job. A couple of months later, we lost our house. A couple of months later, we lost our cars. And we had to go buy here, pay here. The house that we were moving from was this beautiful, nice neighborhood housing division, cul-de-sac. Like I said, I saw it as our forever home, very much newer, all this. We moved to a home that was older. The people that had lived there before were very dirty, filthy, nasty people. It took me a week to clean the apartment just to be able to move stuff in, or the house. It was an older home. It was not pretty. It was not modern. It was green shag carpet and hardly any counter space. And I mean, hardly any counter space. You barely had enough room to put a dish drainer on. But while I went home and cried every night after I cleaned, It ended up being the best 5 years of my life. Those landlords lived right next door. They became some of our good close friends. They worked with us on our deposit and rent. They were phenomenal during COVID. Anything I wanted to do. They let me have a tanning bed. I had a pool. We had the best memories in that backyard. But all I could see at the moment was, I'm losing this beautiful new home. And I'm moving into this ugly, worn down, older home that now everybody's going to know I failed because I live in a small town. All I really want to, there's so much, there's so many things that people deal with when they start going down that path of suicide. And some people never have those thoughts, and that is wonderful. And I am so thankful for them. But there are too many of us that do. There are too many of us that don't come out the other side like I did. Too many families hurting from suicide. Last year I did a suicide awareness walk, and to see the amount of people there that were affected by a suicide, it broke my heart. But I will tell you that no matter what you're facing or what you're going to lose or what the outcome ends up being, it will get better. It's going to get worse. It's going to get real worse. Like I said, I lost my job. We lost both our cars. We lost our house. I couldn't talk about my suicide until about a year ago. I was embarrassed of it. I'd be like, that incident, that hospital stay. I couldn't say that I had attempted suicide because I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed of my pain. How sad is that? So if you're thinking that's the answer to your problems, it's not. Your family is most likely not going to get life insurance money because suicide is a clause in 99.9% of life insurance policies. And I'm going to tell you, even if they're getting millions and millions and millions of dollars and you guys make very little money and you think that's just they'd much rather have you than the money. You can lose that job, you can lose that house, you can lose your car, and you can come back up. You got to try. You got to get up. Can't sleep till 5 p.m. Got to make your bed, brush your teeth, take a shower, and those are going to be hard. If someone's ever dealt with depression and anxiety, they're going to say, making your bed, brushing your teeth, taking a bath, getting dressed, hey, crazy bitch, those are normal everyday activities for people. They are. But when you're in that paper bag of depression, they're the most difficult task you can ever do. But you have to. Maybe today it's just getting up and brushing your teeth and sitting up straight instead of laying down all day. If that's the only two things that you get done, pat yourself on the back. Tomorrow I'm going to get up and I'm going to brush my teeth. I'm going to take a shower. The next day I'm going to get up, I'm going to brush my teeth, I'm going to take a shower, I'm going to actually put clothes on, and each day build on it. The next day make your bed. The next day leave the house. If it's just go drive through and get a Coke, or if you absolutely have no money at all, take a walk. A walk will clear your head. The endorphins will get going. I promise you, you'll feel better after your walk. Now, will the walk take your problems away? Will the endorphins take your problems away? No. But you're going to have to reach out to a therapist or a doctor. Maybe medication might need to be added. Maybe therapy, maybe both. But there's something that has happened that's caused trauma to make us feel like we're worthless, we're not worthy, we're failures, we're unloved. And when we chase all the wrong materialistic things, all we're going to get out of that is pain, disappointment, and that sense of failure. So we are not failures. We are worthy of feeling like $1,000,000. Our loved ones will not be better off without us. I promise you, there is someone in your life that would do backwards handsprings, who can't even do a cartwheel, just to have you alive and be around. You may not feel it, but it's true. So please get the help. Make that phone call. Online therapy. You don't even have to leave your house. You guys, I love you. I shared this really painful journey that me and my family took. The reason that I share is for anyone that's lost someone to suicide, you're not to blame. They were broken and they didn't know how to get help. If you're the one that is thinking that that's your path, please get help. Please get up. Set up. Like I said, if that's all you do today is sit up in bed, do it. Love you guys.